Hi, gang. David Cantor here, host of UUCC, Zoom In, live. Well, we were sitting around talking on a Zoom call the other day, we meaning the other folks who make the show happen and me. Talk about the names of some of our guests, those who've come before now, those who are coming up in the future, what have you. And particularly talking about how easy or hard some of them were to pronounce. So, there are names like this one. That was really easy, short and easy. Then you have this one, which is a little bit longer, but still easy to pronounce. But then things can get a little bit tricky, right? So you have our last show guest. So you can get to wondering, so is the O silent? Is the E silent? Are they both silent? Well, if you missed the last show or you're getting a little bit confused, I'll give you a clue. It's the computer, not the pineapple. And then you have this one of our upcoming show guest. Right. Well, that's Reverend Renee, who's a congregational life consultant in the Central East region for the UUA. You've seen her around our congregation more than once, typically at times when we're in transition. Some might say a little bit of turmoil. I didn't say that. Renee actually lives in Kent, is a social activist there on all sorts of stuff. And she's also been around a lot of our congregations over the years, both working inside them as well as consulting with them. So Renee's going to have a lot to say to us about the state of the UUA these days, about what's going on in congregations these days, about where UUCC is and what we might have to watch out for going forward, as well as telling, of course, about her journey and her story. Like, how did she become a reverend in the first place, right? So, the show will be Monday, January 25th, 8 to 9 p.m. Hope you'll join us then. Take care. Bye now.
Emily Dickinson wrote, "Truth must dazzle gradually, or everyone be blind. May the light of truth carried in this congregation blind us all the way, so that when the blindness fades, we may see the world through new eyes that have been baptized by truth."
As Unitarian Universalists, we affirm and promote a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We believe that each person must be free to search for what is true and right in life.
Good morning. And in case you're wondering, yes, it is actually very, very difficult to plan worship in the midst of the, absolute ups and downs of the nation right now. Preparing worship is an attempt to center a whole congregation of disparate people, to speak to their spirits, to create a sense of the holy, and to prepare that people to live out lives in the world that are illuminated by their faith and their principles. And I have to say, these last few weeks, or really months, it's been like trying to plan how you would teach like a third grade class that's going to take place in the front of the gate of like Disneyland. I mean, focus and centering is just really hard for all of us to manage right now, and I very much include myself in that. In any case, I say all of that because today begins week 4 of Chalica, a week that brings us into dialogue with something that is with us every single day, and yet it's something that we can miss the importance of when we get distracted by all of the other things that are going on. To approach this idea of the pursuit of truth, I've even penned us a story to help us along. Something I hope is appropriate for all ages, and it's a very unofficial, extremely unofficial sequel to Dr. Seuss's famous Horton Hears a Who, but I will hope you'll forgive my inability to come up with his rhymes and poetry. We are a community linked by our convictions about human dignity, about justice, and about our spiritual selves. Today we consider the way in which we hope to live in a world as truth tellers, truth carriers, and truth seekers. So I hope you can all turn the volume down on the events of the week, center yourselves in a place and sort of join together with all of us, wherever and whenever you are joining, in a spirit of worship and meditation. So good morning, and welcome to UUCC.
Wake now my senses and hear the earth call. Feel the deep power of the all. Keep with the word of creation aloud, giving, receiving as love shows us how. Wake now. Join with each bell, quest for the truth, of the beauty and wisdom of love. Suffer thy limit and grace the sublime. Wake now, compassion, give heed to the cry. Voices of suffering fill the wide sky. Take as your neighbor, both stranger and friend, praying and striving, never hardship to end. Wake now, my conscience, with justice thy guide. Join with the people whose lives are delight. Take not for granted the privileged grace, as all embraces the whole human race. Wake now, my vision of ministry clear. Brighten my pathway with radiance here. Mingle my calling with all who will share. Work toward a planet transformed by our care.
We used to come together around this table when we met in person to share our joys and concerns, the things that were beautiful in our lives and the things that brought us sorrow. I share these pebbles today symbolically for all of us, because I know there are joys in people's lives that need to be celebrated. There are birthdays, maybe births, anniversaries, and just plain old good days that deserve to be celebrated. I know that there are difficult times for people. People tired of this pandemic, tired of the isolation, frightened by the events in our nation's capital, and just having a hard time. I place this last pebble into our bowl with a hope that you'll remember you are not alone, that if you reach out, someone surely will be there to celebrate with or to help comfort you, whether you're celebrating a joy or contending with a sorrow today.
I'm Mika, and I'm going to be reading the story of Simon Finds the Truth. You may know the story of Horton, the attentive elephant from the jungle of Newell who met the Who when he heard them on their tiny dust-sized world when it landed on a clover. And you may know how Horton saved the Who when they collectively yelped as loud as they could so that Horton and everyone around him could hear that they were there. But you may not know the story about what happened afterward. Because when Horton proclaimed to the world that a person is a person no matter how small, he spoke a truth into the world. And that truth, a glorious, sparkling speck that fluttered throughout the world until it came upon, of all people, Horton's fourth cousin, Simon. Of course, the jungle of Newell, where Horton heard his Who's, is a big place, and Simon lived in a much less rhyming and less poetic part of the jungle. This is way past where the friendly moose, the socks-wearing fox, and the prideful turtles live, whom you may have also read about in other books by Horton's biographer. Simon the elephant was from the farthest east side of Newell, down where the mountains run into the ocean. On the day Simon found a truth, he was doing his favorite elephant thing, laying in his shallow pond and using his big ears to listen to all the sounds of his jungle friends around him. So, Simon didn't notice when the glittering specks came circling around his head and spinning in the breeze. So, the wind blew the truth up Simon's long trunk and tickled the back of his throat until Simon sneezed a great sneeze. Simon still didn't notice it. Then, when the truth fluttered into his great elephant ear, prickling and tickling until Simon gave his head a great shake, the truth sparkled and glistened as it landed on the very tip of a long green banana leaf. And that was where Simon finally saw it. Now, Simon didn't know about truths. Just then, he was an elephant after all. He knew about ponds and how to spray water, and he knew about his sounds of his animal friends made. But this was the first time finding a truth. And when it sparkled in front of his eyes, he thought it must be the most delicate, precious thing. So he used all of his care and strength and broke the leaf off of the banana tree and very carefully as the elephant could, walked his little gem through the forest towards his house where it would be safe and sound. You might imagine that this was quite a sight, an elephant with its trunk stretched out, holding out a banana leaf for all to see. He called out to the jungle to let everyone know he was carrying something precious and important. The first comment were the monkey brothers, Mel, Marv, Marlin, and Merv, high up in the trees, who said, "Simon, why are you carrying that banana leaf?" Simon explained about the truth that he found that was on the end of the banana leaf. The monkeys looked as hard as they could, hanging from their tails and squinting hard. "I don't know. I don't see anything there, Simon." "Are you sure the truth isn't something you've just made up and told yourself?" "No," Simon said. "I found a precious truth, a thing of delicate wonder, and I'm carrying it home so I can keep it as safe as can be." And just as he said that, the glint of Simon's truth sparkled for him, and he marched on as carefully as he could. Next, he met the famously curious Quacca Quintessa, who asked Simon what he was carrying. Simon explained about the truth that he found and why he was carrying it so careful to carry it home where it could be safe. Quintessa was closer by than the monkeys, and she peered at the leaf and said, "I think I see what you are pointing to. But it's so small. How could it be so important? Maybe it isn't as big of a deal as you think it is." "No," Simon said. "I found a precious truth, a thing of delicate wonder, and I'm carrying it home so I can keep it as safe as can be." And just as he said that, the glint of Simon's truth sparkled for him as he marched as carefully as he could. Finally, he came across Corbo the caterpillar, who was, it's not polite to say he was chubby, but have you ever heard of a caterpillar that doesn't spend all of his time eating? Corbo saw the big banana leaf Simon was carrying and licked his lips. Simon explained about the truth and pointed to the luminous grain of light at the end of the leaf. Now Corbo saw the truth Simon had found clear as day. But Corbo was unimpressed. "Why do you care about this little speck, Simon, when you are carrying this delectable leaf? I can go find you 20 interesting specks, from a piece of pollen to a tardigrade. If only you'll give me that sumptuous leaf." "No," Simon said. "I have found a precious truth, a thing of delicate wonder, and I'm carrying it home so I can keep it as safe as can be." And just as he said that, the glint of Simon's truth sparkled for him, and he marched on as carefully as he could. Even as Simon was so confident that he was doing the right thing, he made a terrible blunder. The jungle was always quite dark. But now the sun was going down, and Simon had spent so much time walking so carefully he could barely see anything, and he lost his way. He looked all the way around to his left, then all the way around to the right, but he didn't know where to go. Just then Simon's big elephant foot caught on a root, and he fell right on his big elephant butt off the pathway and started sliding down the jungle mountain. Simon struggled to keep his head up and to hold onto the leaf. But a banana leaf is no clover like the one Horton had held. So when Simon tumbled, the leaf flew away from him along with the truth that Simon had found, the one that Horton had spoken out into the world.
Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where do we come from? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going?
Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going?
Where do we come from? Where are we going? we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going?
Where do we come from?
What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going?
Mystery,
Mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery.
Simon Finds the Truth, Part 2. Now Simon was determined to find the truth he had dropped. And even before he could figure out where he was tossing his head this way and looking for the glittery, sparkly speck. But then he turned all the way around and saw that, actually, the whole world around him was glittery. You see, he had fallen down the mountain and landed on the sandy shore of the ocean, where the sun was setting so that the water, the waves, and the sand that was all around him sparkled like the stars on the darkest night. Simon became so sad and he started to cry. After all, how would he be able to find the truth now? How could he find one precious sparkle in all of this glistening sand? That's when one of the wisest of all the animals, Hogarth the hermit crab, came to see why Simon was so sad. "What's wrong, my friend?" said Hogarth. So Simon explained about finding the truth and how all of the other animals had told him that what he was doing was stupid, and how it really was stupid because Simon had tripped and lost the truth anyway. "Oh, Simon," Hogarth the hermit crab said, "you haven't lost the truth you found, just the opposite. You did the most important thing that we could do with the truth." Simon stopped crying because he was confused at what Hogarth had said. "How can that be, Hogarth? I lost it. It's ruined now," Simon replied. Hogarth continued. "Well, first off, let's clear something up. Truths aren't delicate. They are nearly indestructible. Sometimes they are hard to find, and sometimes we lose track of them, but they never disappear. They are nearly indestructible." Simon was confused and surprised. He thought something was so beautiful as the truth would have to be delicate and fragile. But he listened to Hogarth as he continued. "The problem is that people drop the truths they find all the time. Sometimes because they are just lazy and careless. Sometimes because they are selfish or greedy. Sometimes they ignore them when they see them. Because a truth is a scary thing. Holding on to a truth is like trying to hold on to a red-hot, glowing coal." Hogarth said to Simon, "Your cousin Horton did an amazing thing when he by finding the Whos and recognizing that they were people just as important as you and me, even though no one could see them. Your cousin Horton became a truth teller that day when he saved the Who." Then Hogarth put his hermit crab claw on Simon's big elephant foot and spoke again. "But you, Simon, did something just amazing. In fact, you did the very best, most right, most responsible thing you can do when you find a truth. You saw it for the precious thing it was. You carried it with you. You showed it to the world. So, my friend, you have actually lived out the lesson before you learned it. You became a truth bearer, someone who finds the truth and makes sure that the world sees it and takes notice." It was nighttime now. The moon was rising over the horizon, and Simon was sitting in the awkward way elephants sit on the shore of the ocean. The sand and waves were sparkling with silver light now, reflecting like stars sprinkled across the water. Simon sniffled his tears back, and he smiled. He hadn't known about what a truth meant and how it worked. He thought about the important thing his cousin had done by saving the Who's, and he smiled at himself that he was able to carry the truth of what Horton had done and shared it with the world. Just then, he asked the wise hermit crab a final question. Do you think I'll ever find a truth again? Even if they are hard to find and difficult to hold on to. It made me feel good, knowing one was around. Hogarth said, Sure, Simon, I am sure you will, especially now that you know what to do with it. After all, this world is full of truths, just waiting to be told. Thank you for listening.
Good morning. Each week, we share our financial resources in ways that reflect our individual UU religious values. This week, our offering will go to North Star Reentry Center on East 55th Street. The center provides badly needed services for those leaving jail or prison in the greater Cleveland area. Support for these former inmates includes remedial education, job training, employment services, as well as health care, addiction services, personal and family support. Given the tremendous challenge of mass incarceration, these programs give former inmates professional help so they can heal, regain their sense of dignity, and rejoin our community in productive ways. Thank you for your consideration.
Each week we come together as a people. Together we share stories, love, aspiration. We also share our bounty in ways that express our religious UU values. May this important ritual of sharing abundance remind us that making our world better is a task best shared.
The title for my reflection today comes from one of my favorite poems. James Russell Lowell wrote a poem called This Present Crisis. It's one I've returned to over the years. He was speaking about the struggle to abolish slavery when he penned one of my favorite lines of poetry ever. He described that truth was forever on the scaffold and wrong forever on the throne. There's something about those lines that just feels very ahead of their time to me. But Lowell was doing his work deliberately, and he was trying to frame the struggle for freedom for all Americans as the latest version of a battle that human beings have actually been fighting forever about truth and wrong. Now, is 2021 as urgent a time as was 1845? When Lowell penned those words? I'm not sure. I know that the forces of untruth, forces of misinformation, of falsehood, and false intent, these are things that really have never felt more powerful to me. I was actually reflecting on that fact, how long-standing this idea of the unsubstantiability of truth has been my whole life. I was reflecting on how long it's been sort of like a conversation topic in our popular discourse. And I actually returned to and was watching, if you remember, this little chestnut from a few years ago. Does anyone remember Stephen Colbert's Truthiness? Actually, when I was in seminary, I preached a sermon about the term when I was a pastoral intern. Are you ready for this? That episode now aired 15 years ago. I mean, that's at least as long that we've been living in a world where the concept of truth has been seen to be sort of up for grabs. Since then we've gotten post-truth, we've gotten fake news, we've gotten alternative facts and subjective truth claims. Lowell really had something going there when he talked about truth forever on the scaffold and wrong forever on the throne. Truth is actually, supposed to have really a unique significance to us. When you think about it, I mean, how many words really are there in English that, it has a different meaning based on whether or not the first letter is capitalized? I mean, just think about that. We tell children, they should really tell the truth. But that's sort of a lowercase t truth. That's kind of a small day-to-day truth. A capital T truth. Well, that's something altogether. That's something durable and universal. That's what Simon the Elephant found in our story. That was a capital T truth. And that's the spirit of our fourth UU principle. The free and responsible search for truth. And the reality is that, just as our story told us, the pursuit of, the finding and carrying of such a thing in the world, a capital T truth, there's no greater, nothing more important that we can accomplish with our lives than to carry and bear witness to the truth. There's a saying that I know gets shared a great deal, especially with younger people, to describe our digital age and some of the risks that come with living our lives so often online. And that's that, the internet is written in ink and not pencil. And it's an important lesson for really anybody to learn in our digital age because, especially with social media and our ability to communicate in such a wide way, what we write and what we post, it does not scrub away from the internet. Once you write it, it's there forever. But interestingly, there actually is a way to disappear from the internet. There are even people who specialize in exactly this kind of work. This was actually the case a few years ago when Black Lives Matter protests were happening across the country, and one of those places where there was an extraordinary movement was actually the campus of the University of California, Davis. And there was this photograph, I'm sure many of you saw it, of a campus security officer who was just casually walking across this group of students who were, they were on the ground, their hands were restrained behind their backs, and this UC Davis campus security officer was just macing this whole group of students. Now, of course, that's terrible press. That's not a picture you want to be around. So UC Davis hired an agency who does this kind of internet scrubbing, this kind of internet erasing. But you know how they manage it? They can't get rid of embarrassing posts or pictures. There's just no way to do that. So instead what they do, because they understand the inner workings of the internet and how information is available to people on it, is that they bury it. They just fill the web with more stuff, more noise that attaches to the name of the officer or to the university or some of the search terms that you might use to find this thing. And with enough time and enough posts, a racist Facebook rant, or in this case, a police officer abusing protesters, it's no longer findable on the internet. It's been buried by the noise that has now obscured the facts and dimmed the lights on truth. Now, I have to say, there's no reason for us to be coy about our situation. In a world where that is how we get rid of information, it is not alarmist or overblown to say that truth is embattled in our world. But the thing about it is that truth isn't undergoing like a direct attack or assault. It isn't being sort of undermined by sort of an Orwellian bureaucracy or sort of institutional lingo or even legalese meant to sort of distract and mask things. That's not what's undermining the truth in our world. Instead, just like those internet scrubbers, the truth is being submerged. The evidence of things that have happened in the world, the truthful claims that we can make about ourselves, they're being outshouted by mistruths, by half-truths, by untruths. We are in a world now where conspiracy thinking and biased people being needlessly critical, alternative narratives, facts that are intentionally obscuring the truth from us, these are parts of our world. And the real horrifying and difficult to realize fact is that, in this case, if the internet is the thing where you have to scrub those memories away, we as people, we're the medium where truth gets buried. It gets buried in us. Our brains and our hearts, our attention, our social discourse, our political awareness, it becomes the places that overflow with nonsense so that the truth, like Simon found in our story, we lose track of that when it's dimmed down to a speck that gets lost in a sea of, to bring the comparison around, a sea of cheap plastic gemstones that's been piled on top. How do you find that kernel valuable thing when there's so much to distract us from what's really meaningfully true? So here's my conclusion, of course with apologies to James Russell Lowell and all those righteous voices who spoke up in 1845, when the adversary was slavery and the stakes were the absolute dignity of human beings, and the moral terms really could not have been clearer. What I have to conclude is that America in 2021, the stakes are perhaps even deeper than that. Because while all of those issues still face us, it's not only about the inherent dignity of all people that we're arguing about, but it's actually whether or not I can count on all people to see dignity as an inviolable truth about who they are. The stakes aren't only about whether or not we can create a more just world, but whether all the people in our society even know what justice is. As the truth slips from us, we lose the ability to impose the boundaries of conscience that allow us to truly see one another as people. And make no mistake, what that means is that to be a Unitarian Universalist is to take a radical and profound stand. It should force us to speak up for dignity and justice, but it also entails that we always work to ensure that the society of those around us and who hear us includes absolutely everyone, because absolutely everyone should be and must be constrained by the truth. If we can't agree on that, if that isn't the foundation for where we are, all of us, then there simply is no way forward. So in America in 2021, that is your calling as a UU. This congregation, our congregation, is a congregation of conscience, and you all form it by bringing your whole selves, along with your talents and your time, your resources. You become a model to the world of what it is to freely and responsibly pursue the truth and live out its stakes and terms and impacts. Each one of us as individuals, we can hope to be a Simon the Elephant, and we can do our very best, and I hope we all do day to day, to carry the truth with us, to show it to the world, to always have in mind this pursuit. But make no mistake, there is something profound that happens when you all together gather as a community of faith. You don't only carry the truth, you become the truth itself. Those are the stakes. And that's what this fourth principle means in America in the year 2021.
We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know we live, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Woyaya, 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 we are going. Heaven knows where we are going, but we know we live, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Woyaya, 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 Woyaya,
As we close worship this morning, may the light of truth go before us in all that we do, not only because it is the bright and brilliant and dazzling thing of our world, but because we dare to carry it in front of us, sharing it with all whom we meet.
Thank you.